Hello, hello, hello. Hello, beautiful people. This is Ms.B, the goddess of empathy. The name is for you, but the title is for me. You can just call me Ms.B. I want to say thank you for joining us for another podcast. And you are listening to Purge and Heal. And thank you for coming back for part two. So, where I left off was the fruit of the Spirit. Live by the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. That wall art had fell, the glass had broken. I attempted to take it apart and put up just the poster board, and I got it up. And while I'm doing this, it is a great distraction as I express myself to my significant other, basically confirming with him that this relationship has met its end. And so the wall art fell, and I put it back up, and I tell him how I'm feeling, and he basically admits it's not him, it's not me, it's him, and he's going to do something about it. So now, because the first piece of the fruit of the spirit wall art is up without the glass, just the poster board with description, no frame, doesn't have any frame, I attempt to take apart the love scripture wall art so that it can match the fruit of the spirit. So I attempt to take the frame out of that. So we're talking, we're communicating, and I'm taking it apart. So I'm taking apart the picture and I'm dismantling the cardboard, the wood frame, the plaster, the back piece, and I'm just about ready, or shall I say, I can get most of it out. I've taken it completely apart. I just have to have access to that piece of cardboard, but it's kind of like stapled in. So I get a knife and I'm trying to get this out, and at the same time having this very uncomfortable conversation with my significant other that's tearing me apart. So I stick the knife down into the piece of wall art to try and remove the staple prongs. And the conversation is going well. I'm expressing how I'm feeling. I'm very proud of myself. He's not becoming resistant or defensive, which is what he's done in the past. And as I go to take the paper with the scripture that says love, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not easily angered. Love keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. So as I attempt to pry that scripture, that paper with that scripture out of the framing, I cut my finger and I scream and I curse. I cut my finger bad and I'm bleeding and it hurts. And I run right to the bathroom. And this is in the middle of our conversation. My significant other didn't say, "Are you okay? What happened?" Because he was already gone. He was mentally gone. The conversation that we had to have, he didn't want to have it. And he especially didn't want to show any. I assume he did what he did, which is when I needed him, he didn't respond. So he did the same thing in that situation. So I nearly take my finger off. I'm not exaggerating. My finger still hurts. I probably need a few stitches. And I run to the bathroom and I'm bleeding. And I turn on the sink on the water and there's like blood on the floor in the bathroom, dripping from my finger. I put tissue on it. That soaks up. Blood is just dripping everywhere. And it's like, and I have the cold water on and I'm just letting it run. And the water from the sink is just running. And as the water from the sink runs, I start crying. I start crying. And so I cut the fan on and I close the door so he won't hear my tears. But it's like the emotional pain that I was feeling from the neglect. It's like, again, the abandonment issues, the neglect from childhood with family addiction, the not feeling safe in my feelings and in my body. The water ran and I just started to sob. And I started to sob. And it was like the universe was saying, let this pain out. It's okay. You won't let it out. I'm going to make it come out. And I cut myself and I just cried. And I cried. And I cried. And I cried. And it felt so good to cry and to let it out. Like it feels good to cry now and to let it out. Your tears are watering your healing. Let it out. It's okay. It's okay to let it out. Forgive me. And I'm holding back now because I'm recording. But when I was in that bathroom yesterday, I did not hold back. I cried. So, after my tears were released, after the emotional pain of this relationship dissolving and the physical pain of me almost cutting my fingertip off, my body was done for that time. But as you can see, it's not done because talking about it, I erupted again. Please forgive me. And where was I? Oh, goodness. So I finished crying in the bathroom. I let the water run. By that time, the bleeding has stopped. I get a Band-Aid. I patch myself up. And I'm feeling kind of weird because I'm like in the middle of me saying everything I had to say. I felt like there was more to say. But what I did, after I bandaged myself up, he was like, what happened? I said, well, I cut my finger. There's blood everywhere. Then I went, to mop the blood that was on the floor. And there was even blood on the wall. When I cut my finger, it splattered. It was like, it looks like a crime scene in here. So I cleaned up the blood off the floor, off the counters in the kitchen. And I cleaned the blood off the floor in the bathroom because it was dripping. And I put my Band-Aid on and I came to him. And I said, before I cut my finger, I just wanted to say thank you for listening. And I know you said you're going to do something about it. But I would really, the sooner the better. I would really like you to do something about it sooner than later. And he said, I get you. We on the same page. I get it. There's a part of me that believed or thought that he really didn't get it. But he said he got it, so I must trust that he got it. So today is Friday. When he comes home from work, we'll probably have another conversation finalizing what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. Because the relationship was over months ago. It was over before it was started. So we're just going to have to finalize it today. So when he comes home, we're going to have that conversation. I'm probably going to hang out a little bit because it's going to hurt too much to see him. And it's just going to be too much. But, and as I was getting ready for work this morning and he left for work, I heard him getting ready. We'd been stopped sleeping in the same bed. So I heard him get ready for work. And he left for work. And I didn't want to get up. I wanted him to go before I got up because it just hurts too bad. I didn't want to see him. And I was just thinking, as I'm preparing for myself for work, and this is what I do I've practiced in the past, if with a relationship or anything that kind of really bothers me, but especially relationships that ended, I would always give myself 24 hours to kind of wallow. Like I'm determined to not stay in a pity party, not months, not years, so I said to myself, I'm going to give myself 24 hours. Once this is over, to get over this man and to get over this relationship of what could have been. And so I also forgot to tell you, last night I wrote a poem about our relationship. I haven't written poetry in forever, but I wrote a poem expressing how I feel. But as I was getting ready for work this morning, it came to me, purge and heal. Purge and heal. Because I am determined that once it is official that this relationship is over, that I will purge and that will allow that process to come out of me, or maybe even push it out of me for 24 hours. And then once that is done, then I'm going to begin the healing process over this mourning the loss of this relationship. And so, my friends, I give this to you. I tell you to purge and heal. It is my duty for all my friends to learn from my mistakes and learn from my lessons. And now also for my listeners, learn from my mistakes. From the beginning, from my intuition told me this is not going to be a good idea. And I pushed it away and I buried it and I tried to fix it and it wasn't working. And just like this wall art that I was trying to put up, I said to myself with the wall art, like, this is our relationship. This wall, it was a blank wall. Nothing was there. And I kept trying to fix it and kept trying to fix it. And he knew I needed help, or I needed help for this wall. He knew that this relationship needed help. And he never said once, can I help you? Or let me do this for you? Or let me take the lead? He never did that with this wall and with our relationship. And in the midst of me still trying to fix this wall and still trying to fix this relationship, I cut my finger. I bled and I hurt physically and emotionally. And with this relationship, I bled and I was in physical and emotional pain. And he still would not help me. And it took me to say, it's okay. So now the wall art is up. It doesn't look as good as if it would have with the frame, because right next to the wall art without the frame is another scripture that I have on the other wall, and it says truth. And it said, let us love, not in word or speech, but in truth and in action. 1 John 3:18. That's in a frame, a beautiful brown frame with burgundy, brown, and green tapestry. And it doesn't look the same as the fruit of the Spirit and the love that's without art. So now, on that one wall, it's up. The wall art is up. And it's cute. And it's not as pretty as the other art. But I think I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do with the wall. I don't know if I want to take the posters down or leave it as it is, but it's a constant reminder. It will remind me. It will remind me of listening to my intuition, following my intuition, and not trying to fix things that are obviously broken and obviously not working when it comes to love and relationships and things in general. And so, beautiful people, beautiful empathetic earth, beautiful empathies, I want to tell you to do the same thing. Listen to your intuition. When your body, your mind, and your spirit tells you that something's not working, don't hang in there 6 months later just to cut yourself and to bleed, to have to purge and heal. It's been 6 months. I know so many people that continue these things for years, 2 years, 3 years down the line. I always was determined to not be one of those people. But 6 months being miserable in my personal relationship and trying to fix it one day was long enough. So I ask you to do what I'm attempting to do, is to value your time, listen to your intuition, and love yourself. This is Ms.B, the goddess of empathy. The name is for you, but the title is for me. You can just call me Ms.B. I want to say thank you for joining me for this podcast. And be on the lookout for more news. Like I said, I just recently got my LLC. The name of it is Empathy Empowers. And it is going to be using empathy to educate and to teach people about family addiction, and also just empathy, practicing empathy with ourselves first and then with others to make the world a better place. This is Ms.B, the goddess of empathy. The name is for you, but the title is for me. You can just call me Ms.B. Thank you for joining me for another Whole Positive podcast. And remember, you can email me at msbempathy@gmail.com. msbempathy@gmail.com. Have you ever held on to something so long that you knew it wasn't right for you till you got burned and you did it anyway? Send me an email. Let's talk about it. Let's help each other and help others. Thank you for listening.